Even before last week's historic tornado outbreak, I'd already planned for this week's WxYz to focus on the active April with so many tornadoes. There were more than 300 fatalities and 1,000 injuries in last Wednesday's outbreak, staggering casualty numbers that seem to come from some bygone era. Weather Channel severe weather expert Dr. Greg Forbes told me last Thursday that he never thought we'd see that many fatalities in this era of great tornado warnings and efficient warning dissemination. Indeed, as early as 1 a.m. last Wednesday, the Storm Prediction Center had outlined an area from northeast Mississippi to northwest Georgia for a 30% chance of a tornado within 25 miles of any point. By noon, 3 hours before any of the deadly tornadoes, the 30% area had been expanded and a subset of that region had been upgraded to a 45% probability. Now that might not sound high, but for tornado forecasting, it's used just a handful of times each year. In the hours that followed, many tornado watches were issued, including this one for most of Alabama, including Tuscaloosa, ominously labeled particularly dangerous situation, and indicated a greater than 95% probability of at least one strong or violent, long-lived tornado in this area. The tornado warning for Tuscaloosa preceded the tornado there by more than an hour, with local weathercasters providing live, exhaustive coverage. So what happened here? Well, first and perhaps most importantly, many of these tornadoes were simply violent, some with winds at or above 200 miles per hour, cutting a swath a mile wide or more that unluckily intersected populate areas. With winds that high, even if you're in a basement, there's no guarantee of survival. And the South has relatively few basements. Another factor was that an earlier round of severe weather had knocked out some communication, so when the really nasty storms hit, some people weren't able to get the warnings. And there's probably another factor at work here that involves the nature of tornado warnings. Let me use the one that was issued at 4:47 p.m. Central Daylight Time for Tuscaloosa to make my point. Now, the typical tornado warning covers a few hundred square miles. This one was about 560 square miles in area. Here's the swath the tornado took, right through the warning area. If we assume a mile-wide path, the area hit by the tornado was 37 square miles within this warning, which is still only about 7% of the warned area. And in most cases, the area affected would be even less because most tornadoes don't have that large a path length or width. The bottom line is that most places in a warning aren't affected by a tornado, and over time that can desensitize folks to the warning system, and that's dangerous. The final count is still not official, but the period from 8 a.m. Eastern Time last Wednesday to 8 a.m. Thursday will set a record for most confirmed tornadoes in a 24-hour period. 6 twisters were actually reported in Pennsylvania, all in the wee hours of Thursday morning. 1 each in Huntingdon, Juniata, York, and Susquehanna counties, and 2 in Lebanon County. There were no injuries reported. Fred is back with the extended forecast next.